Ever feel like you're talking to a brick wall? Like, people just don't get you.
Hmm.
Well, today's deep dive might just change how you see those frustrating conversations forever. We're taking a look at Surrounded by Idiots by Thomas Erikson,
Oh, interesting.
a book that suggests maybe it's not that they're idiots, but they just speak a different personality language.
That's a great way to put it. This idea of personality types isn't new, though.
Really?
Think back to ancient Greece Hippocrates, the father of medicine. He was already categorizing people by temperament in the 5th century BC.
Wow.
What Erikson does is bring this ancient wisdom into the modern world,
I see.
giving us a framework to understand how those fundamental differences play out in our daily lives.
So instead of toga-clad philosophers, we've got color-coded personalities. I like it. Tell me more about these personality types.
Well, Erikson lays out 4 main categories:
Yeah.
red, yellow, green, and blue. Now, it's important to remember that these are archetypes,
Okay.
like personality superheroes, each with their own unique strengths and weaknesses.
Got it.
In reality, people are a mix, with one color usually dominating and sometimes a secondary color influencing things.
So like a personality cocktail. All right, let's break down these colorful characters. Who are the reds?
Imagine someone who's always 10 steps ahead, driven, decisive, and not afraid of a little healthy competition. That's your classic red.
Okay, I could see that.
They're all about efficiency, getting things done, and leading the charge.
Uh-huh.
Think Steve Jobs, revolutionizing technology,
Yeah.
Barack Obama leading a nation, or Margaret Thatcher, the Iron Lady herself.
Wow, strong personalities indeed. But I can already see how their directness might not always go down smoothly.
Exactly. Reds could be perceived as a bit.
Intense.
Yeah.
Even rude at times, especially by those who prefer a more collaborative approach. But it's not about being mean. They just value straightforwardness and results. Waiting around for consensus or sugarcoating feedback. Not their style. Okay, noted. So, if you need a decision made quickly and efficiently, get yourself a red. Now, let's talk about those sunshine personalities. The yellows. They sound like my kind of people.
They certainly bring the energy.
Yeah.
Yellows are the optimists, the life of the party,
Uh-huh.
always seeing the glass half full and bubbling over with enthusiasm.
Love it.
They thrive on connection, brainstorming, and spreading good vibes. But all that energy can sometimes translate into being a bit scattered,
No.
maybe even interrupting others in their excitement.
So maybe not the best for tasks that require meticulous attention to detail.
You got it. While their infectious optimism is a huge asset,
Yeah.
yellows might struggle with those detail-oriented tasks that require deep focus.
Right.
They might also come across as superficial to those who are more introverted or analytical.
Makes sense. All right, time to chill out with the greens. Tell me more about these peacemakers.
Greens are the calm in the storm. They're all about harmony, balance, and creating a sense of ease and stability.
I like it.
They're the friends you go to for a listening ear, a shoulder to cry on,
Yeah.
and a calming presence. They're incredibly loyal and supportive.
Right.
But sometimes that desire for peace can be mistaken for indifference or a lack of initiative. They hate rocking the boat,
Uh-huh.
which can make it hard for them to voice dissenting opinions or push for change.
Oh, I see.
Think Michelle Obama's grace under pressure,
Yeah.
Jimmy Carter's commitment to diplomacy,
Okay.
or Mahatma Gandhi's unwavering pursuit of peace.
I definitely see the appeal of a green presence, especially in high-stress situations. Now, for the last color in our personality palette, the blues.
Think deep thinkers, the analysts, the ones who notice every detail and strive for perfection.
Gotcha.
They might seem reserved at first,
Yeah.
but that's because their minds are constantly processing information,
Okay.
analyzing situations, and looking for logical solutions.
Mm.
Bill Gates, building an empire on precision.
Uh-huh.
Albert Einstein, unraveling the mysteries of the universe. Even Spock with his cool, logical demeanor, all classic blues.
Definitely the brains of the operation. But I can also see how that meticulousness could be misinterpreted.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Their high standards and focus on accuracy can make them come across as critical, even pessimistic at times. Spontaneity,
Not so much.
not their strong suit.
Yeah.
They need time to process information, weigh the options, and plan meticulously before making a move.
It's incredible how just knowing these 4 basic types already sheds light on so many interactions.
And we've only just begun to scratch the surface. What's fascinating is how Erikson helps us visualize these personality dynamics
Okay.
using a simple 2x2 grid.
Okay. I'm intrigued. Paint me a picture.
Imagine a grid. Across the top,
Okay.
we have blue and red, our task-oriented types, though in very different ways.
Got it.
On the bottom,
Yeah.
we've got green and yellow, both focused on people and connection.
Okay.
Now, on the left side, we have our introverts,
Yeah.
blue and green,
Uh-huh.
and on the right, our extroverts,
Mm-hmm.
red and yellow.
So this grid helps us map out where each personality falls and how they relate to each other.
Precisely. You can start to see how certain combinations might be naturally complementary,
Okay.
while others might be prone to more friction. For example, that blue-red pairing
Yeah.
with the blues' careful planning and the red's drive to act could be a powerhouse of productivity.
But a red trying to get things moving quickly paired with a green who prefers to take things slow and steady,
Right.
that could lead to some frustration on both sides.
You're catching on quickly. But it's not just about predicting conflict.
Right.
It's about understanding the strengths and weaknesses of each type so you can leverage those differences for greater success.
It's like having a secret decoder ring for human behavior.
Yeah.
So we've got our 4 colors, our handy grid,
Right.
and a sense of how these personality differences play out in the real world. But how do we actually use this knowledge?
Yeah,
That's where I imagine things get really interesting.
you're absolutely right. Surrounded by idiots goes beyond just identifying the types. It equips us with practical strategies for communicating with each one.
Right.
Think of it as a toolkit for navigating the complexities of human interaction.
A toolkit for decoding people. I'm all in. Let's start with the reds. How do we talk to those street shooting, action-oriented folks?
Remember, reds value efficiency and directness.
Okay.
So when giving feedback, be clear,
Right.
concise,
Uh-huh.
and get straight to the point. No need for flowery language or beating around the bush.
So skip the small talk and cut to the chase.
Right.
Got it. But what about when you have to deliver constructive criticism?
Yeah.
Reds are known for their strong personalities. I could see that leading to a clash.
That's where it's important to stand your ground. Don't be afraid to push back respectfully.
Okay.
Focus on the facts, the desired outcome, and avoid getting dragged into an emotional debate.
So stay calm, stay factual, and don't back down. Makes sense. Now, what about the yellows? I imagine they're a bit more open to feedback.
They are receptive,
Yeah.
but their boundless energy can make them easily distracted.
Oh, yeah.
To keep a yellow engaged, frame your feedback positively,
Yeah.
highlighting opportunities for growth and new experiences.
Mm-hmm.
And it helps to have a clear agenda or even written takeaways.
So if I'm picturing this correctly, maybe a brainstorming session with a whiteboard
Yes.
where we can map out ideas and action steps would be a good way to keep a yellow on track.
Exactly. Anything that keeps the energy flowing
Right.
and avoids bogging them down in too much detail. Now, let's shift gears to the greens. I imagine delivering feedback to them requires a bit more finesse.
Yeah, given their aversion to conflict, I'm guessing a gentle approach is key.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Greens are sensitive
Right.
and value harmony above all else. When delivering feedback,
Yeah.
opt for one-on-one conversations and avoid public criticism.
Got it.
Reassure them that your feedback is intended to help them grow and maintain a peaceful working environment.
So basically deliver the message with a warm hug. No harsh words,
Right.
just gentle guidance. Now, for the last color in our palette, the blues. How do we provide feedback to these meticulous thinkers?
With blues, it's all about logic and data.
Okay.
Come prepared with specific examples,
Right.
well-researched information,
Uh-huh.
and avoid emotional appeals.
Yeah.
Think of it like presenting a well-structured case with clear evidence.
So basically treat feedback for a blue like a mini TED Talk.
Exactly.
Lots of data, clear points, and be prepared for some insightful questions.
You nailed it. Now, feedback is just one piece of the puzzle. Understanding how to manage stress for each personality type can be a game changer too.
You're right. What stresses out a red might energize a yellow. Right.
Exactly.
Let's start with those high-achieving reds. What kind of environment helps them thrive under pressure?
Reds need to feel in control and see tangible results.
Right.
They thrive on challenges, opportunities to lead, so avoid micromanaging them.
Yeah.
Give them the freedom to strategize and execute their vision.
So reds are like racehorses. Give them a clear track, let them run, and watch them excel. Now, what about the yellows? What helps them stay positive and productive even when things get tough?
Yellows are energized by social interaction and positive reinforcement.
Yeah.
They need a stimulating environment
Okay.
that allows them to bounce ideas off others, be creative, and have fun while they work.
So basically, a yellow's ideal workspace is less like a cubicle and more like a collaborative think tank with lots of positive energy flowing.
Precisely. Now, on the opposite end of the spectrum,
Yeah.
we have the greens.
Right.
How do we create a stress-free environment for these peace-loving folks?
I'm guessing a calm and predictable environment is key.
You got it. Greens value stability and routine.
Okay.
They need clear expectations, established procedures, and minimal conflict to truly flourish. Avoid sudden changes or chaotic situations whenever possible.
So no surprises for the greens. Got it. Finally, what about the blues? What helps them stay focused and productive when the pressure is on?
Blues thrive on structure, order, and time for thoughtful reflection.
I see.
They need a work environment that values precision, attention to detail,
Okay.
and allows them to plan meticulously.
So maybe a fast-paced, constantly changing startup environment isn't the ideal fit for a blue?
Probably not.
Hmm.
They excel in roles where they can utilize their analytical skills and work methodically toward well-defined goals. Rushing a blue or throwing them into chaos is a surefire way to derail their productivity.
This is all incredibly helpful. But before we move on, I want to touch on something you mentioned earlier,
Yeah?
the potential for conflict and synergy between different personality types. I imagine certain combinations are more challenging than others.
You're right. Remember our 2x2 grid?
Yeah.
Well, some pairings fall on opposite ends of the spectrum, which can lead to friction. For instance, a red's direct, action-oriented style
Mhm.
can clash with a green's desire for harmony and consensus.
And a blue's need for meticulous planning might clash with a yellow's spontaneous go-with-the-flow approach.
Exactly. But it's not all about avoiding conflict. The beauty of this framework is that it helps us leverage these differences.
Okay.
Imagine a team with a mix of reds, blues, greens, and yellows.
Yeah.
Each color brings a unique strength to the table. The key is understanding those strengths and creating an environment where those differences can work together harmoniously.
So it's like a well-balanced orchestra. Each instrument plays a different role, but together they create beautiful music.
What a great analogy. And remember, this isn't about putting people in boxes and limiting their potential.
Mm.
It's about understanding how we're wired differently and using that knowledge to communicate more effectively, build stronger relationships, and ultimately create a more harmonious and productive world.
This has been eye-opening. We've explored the 4 personality types, learned how to adapt our communication, and even discussed how to manage stress for each color. But I'm sure there's even more to uncover, right?
There is.
I'm ready for some real-world stories that bring these personality types to life.
Me too.
Erikson shares some great anecdotes in the book, right?
He does.
Yeah.
They're not just entertaining.
Right.
They really highlight how these personality dynamics play out in everyday situations.
Exactly.
For example, he tells a story about a time he tried to thank a green colleague
Okay.
for their hard work.
Yeah.
He went all out.
Oh, wow.
Public praise in front of the team,
Uh-huh.
a bonus, movie tickets,
What?
even the rest of the day off.
Wow, that sounds like a dream come true for most people.
You'd think so, but
Yeah.
the green colleague was mortified.
Oh, no.
They later pulled Erikson aside and explained how uncomfortable all that attention made them feel.
Oh, wow. That's a good reminder that what we might see as a reward could be someone else's nightmare.
It's a perfect example of why understanding those individual preferences is so important.
Yeah.
Public praise might be a motivator for a red or a yellow, but for a green,
Right.
it can feel like a spotlight they'd rather avoid.
So a quiet thank you and maybe a handwritten note expressing gratitude would have been more appreciated.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that different personalities value different forms of appreciation.
Okay, lesson learned. Tailor your appreciation to the individual. What other insights can we glean from Erikson's stories?
Well, he also talks about the challenges of working with a blue and a yellow on the same team.
Uh-huh.
You can imagine the potential for conflict there.
Oh, absolutely. The
Sure.
meticulous planner and the spontaneous free spirit. That sounds like a recipe for either disaster or breakthrough innovation.
It was a bit of both, actually.
Really?
The blue was meticulously planning every detail, creating spreadsheets and timelines,
Okay.
while the yellow was already brainstorming new ideas and wanting to dive right in.
Yeah, I can see that.
The tension was palpable.
So how did they bridge that gap? Did they manage to harness those seemingly opposing energies?
They brought in a green.
A green, how did that help?
The green's calming presence and focus on harmony helped to neutralize the tension.
Hmm.
They were able to listen to the blue's concerns and validate their need for structure,
Right.
while also encouraging the yellow to channel their enthusiasm in a more productive way.
Wow, that's a great example of how sometimes the solution isn't about forcing people to change,
Right.
but rather finding the right energy to balance the scales.
It speaks to the power of diversity, not just in personality types, but also in working styles and approaches to problem solving.
This has been an incredible deep dive. We've explored the four personality types,
Mm.
learned how to adapt our communication, and even gained some wisdom from real world examples. I feel like I have a whole new set of tools to navigate my interactions.
Me too. And remember, we've only just scratched the surface.
Right.
There's so much more to discover about this topic.
Absolutely. So, what's the key takeaway for our listeners today? What do we want them to walk away with?
I think the biggest takeaway is that understanding these personality types isn't about labeling people or putting them in boxes. It's about cultivating empathy and awareness.
It's about recognizing that we all see the world through a different lens, and those differences, when understood and appreciated, can actually be our greatest strength.
Exactly. And as you start to observe these personality types in your own life, you might just find that those frustrating conversations become a little less frustrating and a lot more insightful.
And who knows? You might even realize that you're not surrounded by idiots after all, just people speaking a different personality language. So keep exploring, keep learning, and keep those brains buzzing.